Hello everyone. Today we're gonna be doing something extremely unoriginal. We're gonna be making a tier list. So, since I've been receiving questions about the matchups and runes recently in my videos, so I've decided to make a video on the tier list and explain a bit on how do I what am I thinking when I'm into these matchup and what I wanted to do. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm gonna be going through each of the champions that you might encounter in the mid lane. I'm not gonna talk about the bot lane or in the top lane or whatever because I'm usually playing him in the mid lane, and it's extremely rare for me to go to the side lane with Azir. And I'm gonna try to explain the runes into each matchup, so I hope it helps. So let's get started with Ahri. So I've actually split the tier list into 5 categories. The red one is extremely unlikely to win, so it's enemy favored and 50-50, and slightly unfavored. This is like the free low matchup, and this is like I win most of the time. So let's get started with Ahri. So with Ahri, she's not 50-50, it's more like 30-70 for me at least, because in the server that I'm playing on, people who actually picks Ahri usually knows what they're doing. So it's extremely unlikely for me to get a free game with Ahri. First of all, it favors her when she reached level 6. And I really couldn't do much except to stand behind and shove the lane. But then she can match Azir's shove with her Q, and she can actually sort of one-tap me when she has 6. So there's really nothing much I could do. The runes I would take are probably Lethal Tempo or Comet. Again, I'm just a platinum player and I don't have much experience on dealing with all the champions. So if you're higher ranked than me and you have other takes on each of these matchups, feel free to comment below and share your thoughts. I'm willing to learn too, because I really wanted to reach diamond at least. And do share your thoughts below if you have any other thoughts than mine. So move on to Akali. Akali, I would say, is a 70-30, so it's favored Azir favored matchup. So in this matchup, most people on the Azir Reddit forum would say take Electrocute, and me personally, I've never seen an Akali that is actually good and knows how to deal with me. So I find myself winning like basically 90% of the time, so she should be here, but I understand that Akali might be hard to deal with for some of you, so I'll place her here. So my take on this is I take Hail Blades, and I'll control the wave through level 1 to 6, and I usually have a kill or two onto Akali. For some reason, Akali players are usually just very newbie and aggressive, and they try to CS without even thinking. Like, they're trading 30% of their health for a melee minion, which is like not worth it. Don't ever do that. So in this matchup, I'll be taking Ignite and Flash and Hail of Blades. So for the Hail of Blades matchup, you need to take Cheap Shot. So my rune page will be like this, and probably this. So I'm not gonna take Mana Flow Ban because after the buffs for Azir, his mana problems aren't really that isn't that much of a problem anymore, especially when you can CS well with the Doran's Ring. You can go with this. So let's move on. The next is Anivia. I would say Anivia is a 50-50 matchup. So before level 6, it's Azir favored, because when she uses her Q, you just dash onto her and you just trade and she can do nothing. But after 6, she's gonna perma shove and you couldn't really match her shove, to be honest. In this matchup, I would take lethal tempo and try to match her shove after 6, and you'll probably need a jungler's help to get her killed. And I would take TP into this matchup because other summoners wouldn't really help against her. Yeah, that's basically it. So into Annie, I'd say Annie is a 30-70 matchup because you could bully her pre-6, but then she could trade. If she knows how to play, she would just use her shield and walk up to you and trade and walk out, and there's nothing really that much you can do. And after 6, she could just one-tap you from like 80% health, which is stupid. I would usually take Barrier, and I'm not sure what runes to take. When facing picks like these, I'd usually take Lethal Tempo just because it's all-around rune for Azir, and there's really not much rune that helps this matchup. Like, even if you take Time Warp Tonic, you wouldn't survive this, so there's no point. So for Annie, you should try to bully her pre-6, and after 6, it depends on whether she knows how to play. So there's really nothing much I do against this matchup. Just try to take it. I try to play it safe after level 6 because her flash and Tibbers combo is really annoying to deal with. Like, there's basically no counterplay except for staying way out of range. So Aurelion Sol is this is a tricky one. I've never seen him. I've seen him once. I've been playing Azir since release, and I've played this matchup like once that I remembered, and it's a 50-50 matchup. It actually favors me a bit more because I know how to play against him. Just dash in and he's gonna be like, wait, what? And he's gonna walk around and you're gonna auto him. There's nothing much he can do. I would take Conqueror into this into this matchup just because you could just keep on attacking him and try to move with him. And yeah, that's basically how you play against him. So Azir into Azir is never gonna happen because I'm probably playing him most of the time, so I'm not gonna put him in there. Azir versus Brand, I would say, is a 70-30. You take Hail of Blades, you play aggressive, as aggressive as possible, and he wouldn't be able to do much really. You might be annoyed by his range at first, but then I've played into this matchup a couple of times, and what I've learned is that you need to play aggro. He would out-damage you if you play safe, so never play safe against Brand. He would do nothing, and he will do nothing if you play aggro. Like, he couldn't really deal with you if you just keep going on to him. So right after you see the ring around that on the ground, I don't know which, I think it's W, like that flame volcano thing, just if he uses it, just go onto him. There's nothing he can do. All he can do is just put you on fire and try to stun you, and then after that he's not gonna do any damage. So that's about Brand. The next would be, should I go Camille? Camille isn't really a problem in the mid lane anymore, but then I guess if you play safe, it's a 70-30. And you take Conqueror. Cassiopeia is the same. You take Hail of Blades and you play aggro. There's nothing she can do. If she takes Barrier, then it would be a bit trickier because she can surprise you with her Conqueror setup and Barrier. But as long as you don't go in when she's like 50% health and you think you can kill her, because that's not gonna happen and you're stupid. Otherwise, then this should be an easy matchup. Again, for Hail of Blades, always take Cheap Shot. Don't ever try to take this. It's not worth it. Next is Corki. Corki is a 70-30. If it's a 50-50, you've lost the game. If it's a 70-30 and you have a if you have an advantage over him, then it's basically a free game. But Corki will one tap you in the late game, so don't ever let him get an advantage. For Corki, take Hail of Blades as well, or Electrocute if you want. But I'm not really a fan of Electrocute because with Hail of Blades, the CD is faster, and QAA is already more damage than Electrocute. So I don't know why would you ever take Electrocute. Like, you can use twice, like 2 times of Hail of Blades, and yeah, and you still have 1 second left to wait for the Electrocute cooldown. So I have no idea why people actually take this. So do explain to me if you want, but I'm not sold. Okay, on to the next one. Diana is a 30-70. She's very annoying to deal with if she knows how to play. Her Q is very hard to dodge, and you don't want to stand in the minion wave because you don't want to let her shove and poke you at the same time. I would take Conqueror into this matchup, or Comet if you want, but then Comet in general is a very bad rune for Azir because it's only useful from level 1 to 6 and it falls off after 6. So you basically don't have a keystone after level 6, and you're fighting a person with a keystone and you don't, so it's not actually worth it. And the sub runes of the sorcery tree isn't really that good after 6 either. This is like a laning rune, this is a team fighting rune, and this is a laning rune, this is the rune that you don't take on Azir, and this is a late game rune. So you're using Comet to help with your early game, but you're taking a late game rune on this is actually very stupid because you're contradicting yourself. And you probably won't get to the late game these days because games usually end in like 30 minute-ish. So yeah, don't I would take Barrier into this matchup and try to bait her in and shove her under the turret with your R, and that's probably what you can do most of the time. Like, her power spike with that hex stack thingy is actually massive because her Q plus that proc thing actually hurts a lot. So be careful in this matchup and you'll most likely need a jungler's help. So into the next one, Ekko. For me personally, I'd say is a 50-50, but he can be tricky to deal with. Because the Echoes that knows how to play the game, like, that knows what they're doing, they would use W permanently. Like, every time it's up, he's gonna throw it out and he's gonna act like he's gonna go on you and you're gonna move back. You can't really shove the lane because he can match your shove. And if you're walking near his W and he's just gonna go in, grab the shield and jump onto you, there's nothing much you can do. So what you should do is you're gonna pressure him level 1. But if the Ekko knows how to play the lane, he's just gonna Q the wave and try to match your shove and not gonna let you touch him. So smart Echoes would be very hard to deal with, and he's gonna one tap you after having like an item or 2. So it's actually not Azir favored, but if they're stupid, it's gonna be an easy lane. And take Ignite into this matchup. It's always helpful to reduce his R healing. If he makes a mistake and goes onto you, you're gonna ignite him, and when he goes back, you can jump onto him. That's how you usually play this matchup. So in this matchup, I would take Conqueror because he's melee, and you can try to like maintain your Conqueror stacks, and the AP stacks on Conqueror early is actually a lot, and most people are going to be surprised when you're gold or below. So yeah. The next one, Fizz. Fizz for me is a 70-30. I've been into numerous Fizz matchups and I probably win 70% or more. So basically what I do is I take the Conqueror setup and try to poke him when he goes for CS. I've got a question asking me how do I deal with Fizz. So basically is you stay out of range and you keep it that way. Don't try to go in his Q range or in his E range ever, because if that's the case, you're losing the trade already. Try to stay out of his gap closing range and poke him with W and Q. Try to zone him off and whittle him down slowly, because most Fizz are going to take Corrupting Potion and he has a shit ton of sustain. So try to poke him down and whittle away his potions, and then you can kill him. So what's going to happen in this matchup is that if he trades onto you when you're out of his range, he's going to either use Q onto a minion or he's going to E on top of you and use Q. If he E's on top of you and uses... if he E's to gap close and Q's onto you, he's stupid, because you just need to stand your ground and keep auto attacking him with your soldiers and proc your Conqueror, and he's gonna die. So if you walk into his range, he's gonna either Q onto you and E away, and you're gonna lose the trade. So never do that. Stay out of range and he's gonna cry. And try to use your E whenever he trades onto you, because when you E into him, of course you get an extra soldier, and you also negate a part of his damage. So it's extremely important to use your shield. And then the next one is Galio. This would be a 50-50 mashup. Most Galio would just perma shove. That's how he plays. And some Galios would trade onto you, and that is why you need to keep your distance. But then his shoving power is actually better than Azir right now, so you either take Lethal Temple or you try to take Conqueror and poke him down. With the Lethal Temple setup, you try to match his shove, but most of the time you won't succeed, because his Q or whatever that thing is, and his AoE auto attack is very annoying. And most of the people who actually knows how to play against Azir, after you use your WQ poke, he's gonna come at you, he's gonna charge at you, and he's gonna taunt you. And before his taunt, you should actually use your W, and if he taunts you, your soldiers would attack him instead, and your Conqueror would stack faster. So his roaming potential will be a lot better than you. So in this case, try to take teleport and compensate for his R. But then he's gonna take teleport most of the time also, so good luck with this matchup. Your teammates are gonna ping you a lot because he's roaming and you're not. What you can do is try to shove in his tower and take some plates. That's all I can share about this matchup. The next one is Heimerdinger. You don't see him much in the mid lane, but you actually win most of the time because your soldiers outranges his turret and there's nothing much he can do. And you can use WQ to take away his turret. That's basically it. Hold on, I'll go and grab a drink. Okay, let's continue. The next one is probably Irelia. So after her buffs, she's kind of problematic, but then you really need to play smart. you can't really shove the lane out. Like, not even level 1. You need to keep the lane at at least a neutral state, and try to let her push the wave. Generally just keep your wave outside of your turret, and there's nothing she can really do. Like, wave control is 90% of this matchup, and if you fuck that up, and she knows how to control the wave, you're fucked. There's nothing you can do about it, and you better not fuck up the wave. If you keep the wave nicely, it's mostly on your side and or neutral side, and you manage to shove her in and reset the wave, then you're gonna win like 90% of the time, because all Irelias are gonna be pissed if you're like perma controlling the wave and she has no agency in the lane. She's gonna try whatever she can to go onto you level 6, and you're just gonna hour her into the turret, and she'll die. I have around like an 80 or 90% win rate into Irelias because all of them don't know how to control the wave. But if you check my YouTube's history, all the uploads I have on Irelia, I only have one game that I really kind of struggle into because I fucked up the wave. And she knows how to control the wave. Like, most of the newbie Irelias, like Platinum and below, are just gonna Q the wave, and they're not gonna try to hold it on her side. And those Aurelia are the free low ones. Like, they have no idea what they're doing, and they're just queuing the wave because they can. So that's the matchup. I'm not sure if you're gonna see Jayce anymore, but if you see Jayce, it's a 50-50. It really depends on you and Jayce. Pre-6, after he has the Serrated Dark, it's gonna be his Jayce favorite, because his QE poke is deals a ton of damage, and you really can't stay out of his range anyway, because he's gonna go duck into the side like visionless, and he's gonna poke you, and that QE damage is gonna take like 40% of your health. And he's just gonna continue to do that every time you're up on the wave, and you really can't stand behind the wave because you don't know which angle he's shooting it from. So I would say is slightly Jayce favored, but it's rare to see Jayce that knows how to play like that, and I've seen it twice. And that's it. So I think I will move it right there. And his all-in potential is actually pretty lethal for Azir, because when he Qs onto you and E's, your R is gonna miss. Or if you preemptively R, then he's just gonna wait like 10 seconds to get his Q back, and he'll go onto you again. There's nothing much you can do apart from staying out of range, and he'll use his range form to poke you. Is like, every scenario is not Azir favored. So let's move on to the next one. Karma. If you see Karma mid, it's 50-50. You know what? Actually, 50-50 matchups is actually not Azir favored, because if you don't get a lead on Azir, you're trash and you do nothing. You have no damage, you have no nothing. So it's picks like these that neutralizes Azir, all of these are not good matchups. Like, you see how trashy this champion is, right? Like, people say play safe, but like in pro play, everyone picks Azir because it's a safe pick. But in pro play, you have teammates. You have a top lane that knows how to play. You have a jungler that knows how to play. You have an AD carry that knows how to play. And you're just gonna stall the game and wait until late game if you need to be the carry. But in solo queue, everyone is just like, I'm fighting over here, I'm fighting over there, and you don't really have time to farm up. So for solo queue, everything beyond 50-50 is a bad matchup, basically. So next one, Kassadin, I would say is a 70-30. Take Conqueror, or take Conqueror, because you need the extra AP to actually deal with his passive, and you try to keep you try to maintain your Conqueror stacks. He can actually do nothing against you pre-6, so you need to abuse him. You need to hard abuse him pre-6, and you need to ping your jungler. If your jungler is actually picking those farming junglers like Master Yi or Hecarim, Shyvana, then good luck. There's nothing much you can do. And take Ignite. Please take Ignite. For Irelia, take Ignite or Barrier, or even Exhaust. But for Kassadin, you must take Ignite. So for all these aggro matchups that I've talked about, you take Ignite, Barrier or Ignite, or even Teleport. This one, Ignite, and everything else you take Teleport or Barrier. Yeah, basically. Most of the matchups above 70%, I'm gonna take Ignite or Barrier if they can actually go on to me, like stuff like this. Akali, you don't really need Barrier because if she's gonna one-tap you, she's gonna one-tap you. So next one, Karthus is a hard matchup. I've played into Karthus a couple of times mid lane. I don't know how to play into this matchup, but do shed some light on me if you know how to play this matchup, because I don't. I have no idea what I should do. Because with Azir, you need to like auto attack him, and he's just gonna move around and pull Qs around, and you're gonna lose the trade very hard. So I guess you don't trade with him and try to farm. But then if it's a farming lane, you also lose to him late game because his R is going to take away 50% of your health even before a team fight starts. So it's not a fair matchup for me. And he still has his passive if you're taking Ignite and you actually manage to kill him. So I guess take Hail of Blades? Maybe? I'm not really sure. Next one. Katarina. It really depends if Katarina takes Flash or not. If she doesn't, she's a 90-10. If she does take Flash, then it's a 70-30. Take Hail of Blades, take Ignite. There's nothing she can do, really. If she's smart, then she's not going to take any poke. Then it becomes sort of a problem. But you would still outrange her and you can poke her whenever she walks up and tries to Q the wave. And what you do as Azir is you WQ auto with Hail of Blades or auto, and then you back off. If she has a dagger laying around you, you trade your short trade and you back off immediately. Don't try to stand around and act like you're tough or anything, because you're not. You're Azir, you're a chicken, and you're soft. Like, she could burst you down in like 2 rotations, so don't ever try to mess with her. But like, control your distance and she's gonna cry. Same with Irelia, basically. Wait, where's the next one? Kayle. Kayle is a 50-50. She's like 70-30 in the early laning phase, like level 1 through 11 or 1 through 13, something like that. But then in the late game, she's like a 10 and 90. Like, she's gonna AQA and you're dead. There's nothing much you can do. I'll put her in 50-50 for now, because it really depends if the Kayle knows how to play. If she knows how to play, she's gonna let you have the lane and wait for the late game, because all Kayles should play like that. And in this matchup, I would take Conqueror because she's sort of a melee early on and you can kind of abuse her. There's nothing much you can do, really. And take Teleport or Ignite, depends on your confidence level. I would take Ignite. And I would call for a jungler's help too. But then there's nothing much you can do late game. Like, other than Teleport late game, or Exhaust, there's nothing much there's not much summoner or even runes that can deal with her. So good luck with the matches like these. Please don't stall it out. I would say Azir is better to end the game early than late when playing against KO. Next one is Kennen. Kennen is a 70-30. Take whatever you want. Take Comet, take Hail of Blades, take Lethal Tempo, take Conqueror, whatever you want. He's not gonna do much. WQ to whittle him down, and if he goes onto you, just E away. Or E into him and shove him on the turret. There's nothing much he can do. You outrange him severely. But in team fights he might be more useful. But then if he's not having a good lane, he's not gonna have good CS, and if he's not gonna have good CS, his item spike would be delayed, and that's pretty much it. Kled. I would say Kled is a hard matchup in the mid lane. I've played this a couple of times and I got baited 100 times. And if he goes onto you, then he's gonna take a huge chunk or part of your health. You basically try to keep out of range in this matchup, and you might be taking Conqueror or Lethal Tempo. Taking Barrier into this matchup is also good because it's a safety issue late game or mid late game when he has his R and he just charges at you and one taps you basically. It's not really an easy matchup, even for laning. Because he can dash onto a minion and onto you if I remember correctly. And he deals a shit ton of damage. So good luck into this matchup. For Kog'Maw, I haven't really seen him in the mid lane, but he's an easy lane, I assume. Take Hell Blades, go onto him, and play aggro, take Ignite. I would think. I think it should work like that. Yeah. LeBlanc. Let's see. I would say is Azir favored, because if you take Comet, you have a very, very easy P6 laning. But then some people would say take Electrocute or take Health Blades because you need that quick damage and back off immediately, so she wouldn't jump on you. The thing is, if the LeBlanc knows how to play, you're gonna hard lose to her mid game if you take Comet. So take Electrocute or Health Blades or Lethal Tempo. Comet is for lazy Azirs, and if you're playing Azir, please don't be lazy, because where's the fun in that? You're playing a hard champ, so go all in. Yeah, basically go all in. So LeBlanc, Lee Sin in the mid lane isn't really a thing anymore, but then if Lee Sin is in the mid lane, it's 70-30. Take Conqueror and stay out of his Q range. And pre-6, it's probably an easy lane, and post-6, shove him on the turret if he goes in. All these Sins are like Aurelia's. The next one, Lissandra. Some would argue she is Azir favorite matchup because you have range, but then I've played into a couple Lissandra. I think it's Lissandra favorite because she wouldn't really need to deal with your early lane. Like if she trades with you, then she's stupid because she walks into your range and she doesn't have that range. But then when a jungler comes, she's gonna lock you down and you can do nothing and die. But I would say it's a 50-50 because not all jungler knows how to gank when there's a Lissandra on the team. And you could abuse your range. You could try to abuse your range. I would take Hell of Blades. And you should take Cleanse into this matchup. You should definitely take Cleanse. Because you can actually cleanse her R. Her R is basically over animated stun. So yeah. There's Lissandra. Lucian, I would say, is a hard matchup. It's a 30-70 because the Lucian that knows how to play, whenever you use Q, he's gonna dash onto you. every single time. So there's nothing much you can do about it, except for do not use Q, but then he's gonna outpoke you with his Q, and his Q is actually fairly decent, hard to dodge, so good luck in this matchup. I would take Lethal Tempo, just in case he goes onto you and you wanted to trade. Taking Electrocute, Hail of Blades, and Comment. Comment works too, because all you need to do is survive until you have items and you can kind of play a 50-50 lane. Or a 50-50 fight with him. But most Lucian will out-damage you. He's a burst champion. He's more like a sustained burst. Like, if he takes PTA, good luck. Oh, I forgot this one. Graves. I would say as a 50-50 or even a 30-70. But most higher elo Azir player would say he's an easy matchup, because you take Lethal Tempo and you mash his shove and there's nothing he can do. And I agree. But somehow I lose like 60 to 70% of the time when I'm playing against a Graves. And I hate his smoke. This is more like a personal thing for me. You might be having an easier time. So you either take Ignite or Barrier into this matchup and take Lethal Tempo. Yeah. Oh, and I'm not actually ranking these according to easy or not. I'm just putting them there randomly. Lux. Lux is a 10 and 9. Extremely hard to play against if she's like not walking into your range. Even if she walks into your range, she's gonna use her W and negate all of your poke while poking you down. And her E outranges you, and it's extremely hard to dodge. And every time she procs it, it's like 10% of your health. So she just needs to land it like 3 or 4 times, and you're basically in the kill zone, like kill range. It's extremely hard to play into this matchup. Some people say take Barrier, but then I think Barrier isn't gonna help much if you're snared and ulted and E, like you're gonna die anyways. So there's that. She outranges you, outdamages you, has better utility than you. She's basically a support that can duel you in the mid lane. That's how I would take it. Yeah, I've played against like 4 Luxes. I had a terrible time against all 4 of them. Malphite in the mid lane, I'd say 50-50. Most of the time it should be an easier matchup, but if he's going like Proto Belt route, then yeah, good luck. He can one-tap you like Annie, but he has a worse laning phase than Annie, so there's that. Take Conqueror into this matchup because he's gonna be melee range, and you can try to maintain the Conqueror stack and poke him down. You either take Teleport, not Ignite, or Barrier into this matchup because if he's playing AP, you only need to survive the initial damage and you can outduel him later on. So, on to Malzahar. Personally, I'd say Malzahar is a free lane. You take Lethal Tempo and match his shove, that's all. That's all you need to do. And most of the time you actually outdamage him if you actually fight. So yeah, you take Lethal Tempo and you proc his shield, and if he wants to trade, you trade onto him. There's nothing you can do really. There's only so much a Malzahar can do. He's probably gonna get the jungler's help after 6, so be careful, but other than that, it's a free lane. So let's continue. What the character you don't see here? Morgana. Morgana is a terrible lane. she's gonna perma shove and you couldn't really mash her, and her Q's hitbox is like Nautilus, and the range is stupid. And you can't really shuffle her under turret because she has a black shield. I've played it to Morgana twice, and it's not a pleasant experience. It's like a less cancerous Lux. Yeah, that's basically it. Because you can actually step out of her puddle of whatever that is, but then she's gonna perma shove, and there's nothing much you can do. Maybe call a jungler's help? Maybe. Then no junglers would come when she's perma shuffling and you have no agency in the lane anyways. And most junglers wouldn't even gank an Azir lane, like, why? Yeah, why? Onto Neeko. Neeko is not Azir favored. She sort of outranges and outpokes you. Not outpoke, but her burst potential is very high because she can go invisible. Her E goes through minions and roots you for longer, if it goes through minions. And her Q basically hits 3 times if you're snared. And there's nothing much you can do really. I would take Lethal Tempo into this matchup because it's not your lane anymore. So try to make the most out of the Lethal Tempo. And how often do you really see Neeko anyways? If you really hate this matchup, or any of these matchup, dodge. Like, everyone's playing like a Katarina, Zed, Yasuo, and shit. No one really plays these. Or like maybe Lucian, maybe Diana. Like, you hardly see Neeko, Morgana in the mid lane anymore. So, continue. We're right here. Nocturne in the mid lane. It's a 50-50, really. There's nothing much you can do against him after 6. He's gonna jump on you and your R is gonna miss because he has a spell shield. It's a very hard lane. If he knows how to play, he's gonna hit his Q and he's gonna run to you, on top of you, and fear you, and there's nothing much you can do really. And even after you get item and he has his, if he goes the Vampiric Scepter route, you can't even outpoke him with his sustain in the lane. So it's actually a very bad matchup. Like, a fairly bad matchup. But you don't see him much anyways. Same with these. So, yeah. No mid. Do you see him that much, really? I would say is a 70-30 because you can easily dodge his W and you farm. You take Conquer and you farm. There's nothing else to talk about in this matchup. Oh, and Nocturne you take Barrier or Exhaust or Teleport. Teleport is not advised because it would be countered by his ult if you're having a team fight and you're in the side lane, or you would get solo killed by him when you're in the side lane, so it's not favored at all. For Irelia, you don't see her in the mid lane. Orianna is an easy mashup. Take Hell Blades, play aggro, and there's nothing she can really do. Take Conquer and play aggro. Do not let it become a 50-50 wave or a lane, or else you're gonna lose. She's quote unquote an assassin, a burst mage rather, so she can actually duel you if she has item, because you need to abuse your range. She's weak when she has no items, but she's technically stronger than you when she has. If you guys are like, both of you have Ludens and maybe let's say a Void Staff or Rabadons or whatever that second item is, she's gonna deal more damage than you with her rotation, more than you with your rotation. So don't let it become a 50-50 matchup, because if it's a 50-50 matchup, you lost already. So let's continue. Pantheon. Easier matchup. take Conqueror and he couldn't really do anything. If you see him walk up, prepare to use your E to negate his damage and trade back to him when he walks out of when he finish his rotation and tries to walk away. You keep autoing him and trade onto him. You might want to take Corrupting Potion into this matchup, but for me, I just take Doran's Ring and Ignite or Exhaust or Barrier. I would probably take Ignite because I consider him a very easy matchup. There's nothing much he can really do against you because you're gonna whittle him down way before he can actually walk up to you if you pace correctly. So there's that. Pike. You don't see him much in the mid lane anymore. But if you do, I say this is a very decent matchup. It's not favored at all because he has gap close and his Q. He can trade onto you. Like he's gonna E4, like stun or not. He's just gonna E4, get out of the minions way, and he's gonna Q you. If he lands his Q, he's gonna attack you 3 times with Hail of Blades, and he's gonna W out. Like if you trade onto him, he's just gonna heal back all the damage. So it's not a pleasant lane, and he can roam way better than you do. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. Kiana. Fuck this shit, man. If she knows what she's doing, then you're gonna be dead level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6. And every level onwards. That's all I can say. You don't take Barrier, you don't take Exhaust because you couldn't even use it, and you're gonna be dead. Try to abuse your range, but then she can just E onto a minion, and she's gonna do her own thing onto you. And you're dead. That's Kiana in a nutshell. Or if she doesn't know how to play, then you have like free game, free LP. But if she knows how to play, good luck. Next, you don't see Quinn, you don't see Arkan, you don't see all of these. Renekton. Renekton is if he knows how to play, he's gonna have his 2 dashes and trades onto you every single time. There's nothing much you can do apart from poking him, but he has sustain in lane, so you can't really poke him out. You would have a 50-50 lane when you're taking Conqueror and if you pace correctly, but it's not a fun lane at all because he can be aggressive and you cannot. Because if you try to be aggressive, he's gonna all-in you and you won't win that all-in. So I'm not sure if you're gonna take Exhaustive Barrier. Barrier seems stupid because he can just like take it down with his W. So I guess Exhaust. And you're gonna bait him to tower dive you. Not tower dive, but like to dive you or try to kill you and shove him in the turret. That's all you can do into this lane. Next. Riven. Do you actually see her anymore in the mid lane? Don't think so. Rumble. I hate this matchup. I really do. Because there's nothing much you can do into him. Like, if you try to poke, he has a shield. And it's, like, resourceless. And if you use a Q, it's just like Lucian. He's just gonna, like, use his E or whatever that is, grab a shield, and walk to you. And he's just gonna melt your face. Like, it's a very annoying matchup. Literally, very annoying. Extremely annoying. Do let me know if you've faced Rumble and you had a good time, because I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I don't know how to play against him. Rise. Rise is a 70-30 matchup. His early all-in potential isn't that good. And to you, if you're Like, you need to survive his initial rotation, like his 2 rotations rather, and you better use your E to soak up some of that damage, and you take lethal tempo. You try to proc it first and try to bait him into trading with you, and you go in. I would take Ignite or Teleport into this matchup, but this is a fairly easy matchup, to be honest. Some people might find it hard because you don't actually know how to trade into him. He's gonna try to... most Ryze would take Phase Rush into Azir because after his trade, he would just run away. Like, when you're playing against Ryze like those, if you take Ignite, then it's GG because you can't do anything because he's just gonna run away. And you better trade onto him when his Phase Rush is down. So, and you kind of out-damage him in the mid-game, early game, late game, all stages of the game. Unless he's Faker, then good luck. So, next one. But then if you're like into Faker level of games, then why are you even watching my videos? Right? So, let's continue. Seraphine. Is she even a mid laner? I mean... no. If she's in the mid lane, good luck. Same problem of Lux. She has range, she has jungler, she has a shield, she has healing. She's gonna waste all your resources, and she has a huge ass amount of sustain. So not a favorable matchup, but you don't really see her mid lane anymore. Even though Riot tried to make her a mid laner. Set. Easy. Keep your distance. There's nothing you can do. It's more like if you know how to keep your distance. If you do, if you don't, basically it. And I would advise early boots when playing against Set. And you really need the healing cut when you're playing against him. His passive is so stupid. And don't get baited by his W because he's gonna melt your face with the true damage. The Set math. Like one punch Set. I've actually tried that a couple of times. It's so stupid, yet hilarious. Sion. I don't think you see him in the mid lane anymore, but stay out of his range and you're good. Silver used to be a counterpick to Azir, but her lethality build has fallen off lately, so she's not really in the mid lane anymore. So, yeah. Sylas. Tough matchup. He can jump onto you and trade very hard. And you couldn't really do much because his abilities cooldown is actually very fast. So if you take Conqueror into him, good luck trying to stack. Basically, the time you finish stacking up your Conqueror, he already has his second rotation of his spells. So you're dead. Basically. Try to keep your distance in lane and try not to shove your lane that much. He's basically a more annoying Irelia, to be honest. And it's harder for you to control the wave because Sylas's shoving power is actually worse than Irelia. Because Irelia has way better resources than Sylas. Like, he goes most of the time. So he would actually have a harder time shoving the lane, because if he do try to match your shove, then he's wasting all of his mana onto the wave and can't trade onto you. But for Irelia, she's gonna QQ the minions, and she would still have like 80% of her mana. Rather, but then Sylas would be like at 40%. So this is a harder way to manage, and whenever Silas sees you use your W, Q, and poke, he's just gonna E forward and jump on your face. You need to take Ignite into this matchup, and his E counters your R. Like, he's gonna go through your R even if he's not intended to do so. It's so stupid. The interaction is stupid. This is definitely a hard matchup, but not as abysmal as this. Syndra, I would say same scenario with Lux, but she has way better burst than Lux. So post 6, she can one-tap you from 100 to 0, and you really couldn't do much apart from trying to sidestep away. And that's basically it. Like, if she's taking Electrocute and Ignite, just be careful. But there's really nothing you can do. And her level 3 power spike is greater than yours. Even level 2, she has a better power spike than you. Like, her QE, she's gonna stun you and auto you, or maybe Q you another time and proc her Electrocute. Or phase rush and run away so you can't trade. And she can do all of the above trading combos onto you in her stun time. So basically she has a free trade onto you, while you can like just stand there with stars on your head and like 40% of your AP gone. So generally you would take Comet and Time Warp Tonic into this matchup because you try to sustain through the lane. That's all you wish to do when you're playing against Syndra. But when your team actually needs a secondary carry, like when the enemy team is having like a Tahm Kench, having a Garen Tot, having like an Alawi Tot or a Trundle or something tanky like Nautilus, Leona and shit, or maybe even Alistar, and your ADC is like Jhin or Ashe, those utility type AD carries that doesn't really do a shit ton of damage, you really need to be the primary carry, and you need to sacrifice your laning phase and take lethal tempo. Like, if you're going for the easy lane route, it's not really easy at all, but like the lazy lane route and take Comet, you're gonna lose a lot of scaling in the mid to late game. And your team is gonna thank you for that. Tahm Kench. You don't see him in the mid lane anymore, but if you do, good luck. He is very annoying to deal with. His W is undodgeable because it's so fast, and if he knocks you up, he's gonna take away 80% of your health while regenerating his own. He's gonna repeat that until you die. You can try to keep your wave under your turret, like outside your turret, but where's the fun in that? It's not an easy lane at all. Like, people say Tahm Kench is easy. I don't really think he is easy at all. Like, try to play onto him, like play into him. Like, it's so cancerous. Swain is a 50-50. Like, it really depends if you can dodge his E. If you can, then free lane. If you can't, then no fun. Take Hail of Blaze, Electrocute, or Lethal Temple, Conqueror, anything you like. Anything is possible. Like, any viable runes on Azir is possible against Swain if you dodge his E. Anything is useless if you can't dodge his E. And try to take Ignite, because his R's healing is actually very important to hit his all-in. So you take Ignite and whatever runes you feel comfortable. For Talon, people say he's a hard matchup because of his all-in potential level 2 or level 3. What I would say is just play like Aurelia. Don't push level 1, take barrier, and try to give him the lane. And he's gonna roll most of the time, and you can do nothing much about it. So it's a 70-30 for the laning phase. But it's not 70-30 for the game because your teammates are gonna ping you, and you're gonna have to constantly ping like he's missing, he's missing, he's missing, and you're gonna be very annoyed because you don't know where he went, and he might actually come out from behind and burst you down. So take barrier if you need, and he can climb over your R. So I would take Conqueror into this matchup because he's melee and he's gonna take CS in melee range. But I do find this matchup rather safe because he wouldn't really be able to burst you down if you're playing like away from him. Like, just don't go into his Q range and you'll be fine, really. He's gonna be very bored and roam. And that's when you ping. So pinging would be like 80% of your gameplay when you're playing against Talon. Next. Tristana. Tristana is an easy lane. Take Hail of Blades or Conqueror or Lethal Temple or not Electrocute. Don't take Electrocute. Don't take Comet. Give her the lane level 1 through 4. And don't let her jump onto you. Let her shove because she can't really hold the lane frozen because of her passive. And all Tristanas are basically Aurelias. She wants to constantly go onto you. So don't let her do that and you'll be fine. It's a very easy matchup. You can take Exhaust. She'll be very annoyed. Or you can even take Ignite if you're confident into playing against her. So, next one would be the Fuck. The Fuck is a very hard matchup for Azir. You can't really play aggro onto him because he's just gonna call his jungler with his point and click stun. Most of you would think like, I'm gonna take teleport and match his R, but you don't take teleport because you're gonna be perma ganked if you do. Take cleanse. Because if he knows how to play, he's gonna be like gold card into what do you call that? Everfrost, and then into another gold card. You're gonna be held in place for like 6 seconds. I've tried it before, and I regret it. So, his wave clear is actually slightly better than yours. But you're still gonna take Lethal Temple and try to match his shove and pin him into the mid lane. It really depends if the Twisted Fate knows how to play the lane correctly, because if he does, he's gonna try not to trade with you. Unless his jungler is around, then he'll walk forward with his gold card and then you just back off. If his jungler is coming and he takes Ignite, he's gonna flash gold card, and if you don't have cleanse, you're dead. So you take Lethal Temple and cleanse, and you try to punish him if he goes for a roam, and you try to take plays to compensate. There's nothing really that much you can do because you actually lose trade to him if you're both standing still and auto attacking without like 3 soldiers and whatever you have. He actually out damages you for some reason. I don't know why. Don't ask. Twitch. Twitch mid, it's very rare, but it's not fun at all. Same with Twisted Fate. He's gonna go invisible and you don't know where he is. And you don't really out damage Twitch either if he goes AP. And he can burst you down insanely fast if you're caught off guard. I have no idea how to play into Twitch matchups. Like, against him in lane, or even if he's the jungler, it's very hard to play against. You need to be like, you basically need to play like a bitch. That's all. Take Hail of Blades into him because you're going to the burst build, like Ludens into Sword Shoes into Rabadons or whatever damage you can build, you build it and you're gonna 3-shot him. That's the plan. That's my plan. Next, Tryndamere. Tryndamere, easy. take Conqueror, and he's gonna try to E onto you, and you're gonna stay out of his E range, and you poke him with WQ, and he's gonna be very annoyed. He couldn't really sustain your poke because either he gives up his farm or he gets outpoked by you. Try to build Oblivion Orb early because he's gonna try to play the sustain game, and you're gonna win if you have the Oblivion Orb. Same with Vladimir. We're gonna go on to him later. Varus, not the easiest lane because he can outpoke you. Azir is very bad into these poke. Like, why he's not in the 1090 category is because he doesn't have that much of an all-in potential when compared to these two. And he doesn't have that much of a burst potential comparing to these two. And Annie doesn't have that much of, like, her range is shorter than these two. So these two matchup are very unique in a way that they outrange Azir. And they also has that 100 to 0 burst. So yeah. You can try to outpoke him, like trade back onto him with Hail of Blades, but if he's smart, he's just gonna stand behind and whittle you down, and you're gonna be very annoyed. Oh, and if you do, I would always take Hail of Blades, Ignite, and try to 3-shot him. That's how you play the lane. So Vayne mid, Veigar. I would say Veigar is a 50-50 matchup, but some people would say he's a counter to Azir because of his cage. I would say if you play aggressive enough early on, he would have a very hard time. But then, of course, in team fights, his cage is going to be a problem, not just to you, but for everyone, right? So I don't actually count him as a counter, because if his cage is a counter to you, because you can dash and move around, then his cage is a counter to everyone. So yeah, that's it. You need to play sort of aggro against Veigar because you don't want to let him farm, and you have way better damage than him early on when you take Herald Blades and Ignite. But be careful when he uses his cage, try to bait it out, because most of the time when he actually uses the cage, he's either gonna have a jungler around or he's ready to fight. So, next one, Vel'Koz. I would say is an easy lane because play aggressive and there's nothing much he can do. Yeah, don't stand in his poke range, or like, let's say his range is from here to here. Don't stand here and here. Stand inside in the middle. Because whenever he uses an ability, you can actually trade back instantly with him. And if he uses his E, just dash on top of him and there's nothing much he can really do. Take Hail of Blades or Conqueror or even Lethal Temple into this matchup. Don't try to use Common and match his poke, because Azir is not a poke champion. Azir is not a poke champion. Don't ever think about playing Azir as a poke champion. It doesn't work. So, think of him more as like a bruiser or battle mage right now, because his poke potential is actually very bad. Like, your Q is way longer cooldown than his Q. Her E, his combo is around the same cooldown time. Like, poking with Azir is like not optimal at all, and you fall very soon. Like, your entire kit is not even designed for you to be a poke champion. Why are you even playing him poke? You're lazy. Come on, don't be lazy. Put some effort in, man. So, Victor, in the hard matchup, he outranges you. His all-in potential is stronger than you, and he can stun you. Not fun to play against. And his E range is actually a lot longer than you think, and then mostly catches you off guard, and take teleport and try to survive through the lane. And what you need to do is you push him into your team whenever you can, like catch him off guard, pick him off. That's all you can do really. Don't take Comet because his Q gives him a shield and movement speed. So yeah, take Lethal Tempo, take Hail of Blades, take Electrocute. Don't take Comet because it's not worth it. Viego, easy. I don't think you see him in the mid lane anymore, but if you do, take Conqueror and he's gonna cry. Play him like if you're playing against Fizz. Like if he walks up, just kite back. If he walks back, just kite forward. Like play him as if you're playing against Pantheon. If you're playing against Fizz, like you're playing against yeah, like if you're playing against Viego. Okay, let's move on. Vi. I would say Vi is an easy matchup. Like, keep your distance. Just like Viego, basically. But then, after 6, her all-in potential is sort of a threat, but you try to stay out of it. Because if you play it correctly, she wouldn't be able to whittle you to like 60% health, and then she can all-in onto you. If she can't whittle you down, then she won't all-in you. Unless she's annoyed, which I doubt she will be. You can actually take Ignite, poke her down and go all in. I would take Conqueror into this matchup, and that's basically it. Don't let her poke you. Like if she charges up her Q, move back. Don't even go near the range of her Q. Like to be honest, why would you do that? Like abuse your range advantage. Like 80% of Azir is about abusing range. Like why you lose against these is because you can't. You either lose because you cannot abuse your range, or you abuse your range and then they have an ability to go onto you. Or they can negate your range and go on top of you. You see, like 90% of these matchups are like not Azir favored because you cannot abuse your range. Or they can actually out-duel you. So, let's continue. Vlad. Easy matchup. Take Conqueror and Ignite. There's nothing much you can do. You can't really sustain through the lane because if he tries to sustain and goes to Q onto a minion, then you're gonna keep your Conqueror up for a long time. And you're gonna actually out-poke his sustain, and he's gonna not like it. But late game, he's gonna one-tap you. So abuse your early game, and it should be a free game. Wukong. 50-50? I would say he is a decent matchup. Not really. Like he's sort of like the Renekton problem. Like he can go on top of you and he's gonna take you down very quick. Like he's gonna go in, go out, go in, go out. Like go in, quick trade, and go back out. And there's not much you can do about it. I would take Conqueror also because he's melee and you could try and abuse your range. The most annoying thing about this matchup is that if you use your WQ combo, like poke combo, and he's smart, he's gonna go invisible and he's gonna jump onto you. What you're gonna do is you try to E on top of him, and get the shield, and you get an extra soldier and try to trade back. That's basically what happens in this lane. But after he gets his shield, he's gonna deal a lot more damage than you can. So if he gets his Sheen, this is where the matchup starts to become a problem. And you're gonna need a jungler's help. The next one. Xerath. Not favored at all. don't take Comet. Do not take Comet. You're not gonna win poke when you're playing against a poke champion. You're not gonna out-poke a poke champion. The one thing that Xerath differentiates from Vel'Koz is that you cannot E on top of him. You can dodge Vel'Koz's E with your E because this takes time to travel and it's a skill shot it's an AoE skill shot, much like his W. But his stun is actually a projectile, which you cannot dodge with your E. Like, you can do like a swivel shovel or something like that, but you wouldn't do that most of the time. His stun is gonna stop you midway. So what you're trying to do in this matchup is to take Lethal Tempo and shove him on the turret. That's all you can do. And he's gonna waste his ability onto the wave and try to match your shove. That's all you can do. And even with Lethal Tempo, you should try to take Teleport and sustain, because he's also gonna try to poke you while shoving the wave, and you're gonna do that as well. So you're gonna proc Lethal Tempo, shove, 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 proc Lethal Tempo, shove, shove, shove. There's nothing much you can do. Try to call your jungler post-X, and you might be able to kill him. But then junglers aren't gonna come if you're constantly shoving the lane, so it's a tricky situation. This is not fun lane at all, but his burst potential isn't as high as these two, so it's sort of manageable, but it's not fun at all. Xin Zhao, easy. This is sort of like Leblanc, but an AD Leblanc. So don't let him gap close onto you. It's more like a Lee Sin game, but his W can go through minions, which is a problem. But if you abuse your range, there's not much he can really do, and you can push him on the turret if you're level 6. If you abuse your range correctly, this would be an easy matchup. So don't ever walk too close out of your turret, because you're gonna have a hard time if he jumps onto you. So, Yasuo. 50-50. Really depends on the Yasuo player. There's not much you can do to avoid his all-in, apart from staying away from the wave. But if you're constantly out of your wave, then you can't really see as properly, which puts you behind at a disadvantage, which, again, if you're in a 50-50 lane and you play 50-50, you've lost the game. So, for Yasuo, you want to place your soldiers into your own minion waves and the enemy's wave. So whenever he dash, you're gonna poke him around. If he trades onto you, you're gonna kite back and you're gonna keep poking him. He's gonna E back out, and you're still gonna have soldiers in the wave and keep poking him on the way out. So that's basically what you do against Yasuo. And you might want to take Barrier or Exhaust, because if he knows how to play, he's probably gonna tower dive you somehow because you're low, and you can bait him out. So yeah, Yone is actually a 1090 for me. Like, even if you do well in the lane, like if he goes 0-4 and somehow he gets off a good roam and goes like 2-4, and he's gonna 100-0 you. Like, this champion is stupid to play against as Azir. And you need to play perfectly, and even if you play perfectly, he's gonna somehow one-shot you anyway in the mid-game. It's so stupid. Like, Riot, why? But then that's a price for playing Azir, I guess. Yumi, you don't play against her in the mid lane. Zac, you don't. Zed is a 50-50 matchup. I would say it's Azir favored pre-6 because you actually have better poke and better all-in potential onto a Z if you pace correctly and if you don't eat the initial Q damage, and you take care of blades with cheap shot and basically the setup I showed you just now. You take Scorch and Transcendence, you don't take Mana Flow Band, and you take Ignite. Don't take Comet because you're gonna lose your pressure in the mid game, and he's just gonna jump onto you. So, I'm not sure if rushing Seeker's Armor Guard is actually a good buy right now because of the nerfs. It's not actually that efficient anymore, so just stick with Cloth Armor and continue your build with like Ludens or Liandries. I prefer Ludens all the time, to be honest. I like the flat magic pen. So 6, easy. Play aggro, and there's nothing much he can do, especially in the mid lane. Take care of Blades Ignite. Whenever he throws his Q or W, just go onto him. There's nothing he can do. He's gonna cry. If you let him get the shove, you're gonna die to minions, so don't let him get the shove. Stand outside of the minion wave, so don't get poked by him while he's shoving the wave. And that's basically it. And Zoe, same as Sareth. You try to shove her into the turret, but then she's gonna one-tap you anyway if she lands a bubble. Like, she is a very annoying matchup, but it's still playable. It's not as bad as Sareth, but like, she's annoying. I haven't seen like a challenger level Zoe player before, but I know what they're capable of. Like, she can not one tap, but she can melt you down like level 3 with her autos. But I haven't seen Zoes that play like that in my elo, so yeah, if I do see it, I will upload the video of it, and it's probably a losing match, and I might get that video VOD reviewed by Jayce as well. So let's hope I meet one of the good Zoes. Zyra, Zillion. Zyra is annoying. Very annoying. I hope you don't meet her in the mid lane. But you can outpoke her early on. So it was more like Ziggs. So take Hail of Blades and Ignite. And there's nothing much she can actually do. Zillion is a 50-50 matchup, which you won't like. He has a lot more utility in the mid game, and he can let his team carry it while you don't get a lead because you can't really kill him. And these are the matchup which neutralizes Azir's early game laning power, so it's not good. It's more like a stupid counter pick. Action. I would say he's a 50-50. I've played against a couple actions. Some of them are stupid, some of them are not. I would take Hail of Blades and not Hail of Blades. I would take Lethal Temple into him and try to let him shove early on. Or you can take Conqueror and try to... Actually, I think Lethal Temple would be the best route. You may take Comet because you're gonna ruin his laning phase early on, and he won't be able to go all in, which is sort of his playstyle right now. Like, he's just gonna E on top of you, and you're gonna boom 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 and die. And he gets his shield when he procs the passive onto a champion, which is stupid. So Lethal Temple is actually a very good rune, to be honest, against action. So after he procs his shield, you can wait for your Lethal Temple to proc, and then you can trade back onto him. But if he goes to roam, he's basically in the Twitch. So, like a Twitch with a revive mechanic, so it's stupid. Yeah, actually, I would rate it like this. Basically a more cancerous Twitch. Basically, yeah. Vex, the new champion. I haven't played against her yet, but I assume it wouldn't be a good lane. Because she's gonna interrupt your dash. She has a shield to negate your poke. And her poke is basically... She's basically a slightly shorter range Xerath. With fear. And a dash. And a counter dash. Yeah, that's Vex. I wouldn't want to play against her because I think it would be very annoying to do so, even though I know what her abilities are. But I might actually pick her up as my pocket pick or a second pick. Right now, I'm playing Azir and Lissandra in the mid lane, and I'm playing mid and AD carry with Jhin. And if our mid laner is actually playing something like AD, like a Zed or a Yasuo, or a Graves, I might actually pick Azir in the bot lane, but it's too much work, man. I'd rather play 6 and have a free lane. So, thank you for tuning in, guys. Do leave your comments below if you have any questions about different matchups, or if you want to correct me or share your thoughts with me, try to please do so, because I think I would like to learn from a better player too. So regardless of your rank, I will check your comments and think things through. Oh yeah, and Cho'Gath is basically easy lane, take Conqueror and build Riftmaker, and it's a free lane. So that's it for this video. It's not very original and all, but this is my tier list for how easy the matchups are, and I hope you learn a thing or two from this. And please like and subscribe. It really means a lot, and leave a comment as well. Alright, see you in the next one.